morning, everybody. This is a special meeting of the Assiniboine Community Committee. Today is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. I myself would be the chair, Councillor Dobson. With us, we have Councillor Duncan, and operating via Zoom, we have Councillor Lukes. We have with us Ms. Cohen from the clerks and the public service, Mr. Galton. Now, could I have a motion to allow Councillor Lukes to operate via Zoom?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion's carried. Delegations.
All right, so our delegation today is Daniel Zerhal to be heard with respect to report 1, and Daniel is joining us in the gallery today.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for taking the time for this today. I don't think I certainly don't need 10 minutes. I think this is really just me here to confirm that we intend to do what the parcel was rezoned for long ago. And we're keen to get it underway. We've submitted, the appropriate plan approval package showing, materials and landscaping and shrubs and things like that. And so I'm just here today to see if anybody has any questions or if anything needs to be tweaked at this last hour. But yeah, we're keen to move it forward.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Obviously, in the community, seeing the former Chapman School standing there for so long and the kind of uncertainness of when this project was going to happen. I'm sure although some of the changes won't be welcomed by the neighborhood, a lot of the changes will be welcomed by the neighborhood.
Sure.
Including, new multifamily housing. But what seems to go over really well in this neighborhood is the single family bungalow style, which I don't know sales, but I would assume that they have gone well. So enough of my preamble. Let's get right to it. The property itself, questions that I've received that you can give clarification on. At the rear towards Vialu, is there any green space included?
So the rezoning that took place lopped off about 10% of the property at the north end. There's an existing rather nice stand of Bur Oak there. And so all that property is now officially City Park. So, it's roughly a third of an acre, there at maybe a quarter acre, something like that at the very northern end. That short answer, I guess, is, yeah, that's all green space that's there. And it's being preserved as is. We're protecting.
Any idea, and you said third of an acre, but any idea in depth at the rear of the property of what that third of?
It has a funny little jog thing happening, and that jog thing, my understanding, since I didn't rezone the property, I bought it as zoned.
Yep.
But my understanding is that the jog that's happening is actually intended to preserve all of those trees. Okay. So the property line sort of tick around those trees, so that all those existing oak trees can be part of the park. And then the empty land would then be developed.
Okay. Yeah. So as it would become, to my understanding, for what you're explaining, city-owned parkland, I'll get clarification from the public service on that. Would you, as the abutting landowner, have any issues? Should it be able to be fit in to put some sort of recreation amenity, in particular, any sort of kids play node there?
Like in that park?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's space, sure, I don't have an objection to that. I mean, my understanding, and again, I apologize, I didn't participate in the original zoning, sure. So I don't know if the original developer made any commitments to that regard, but I'm happy to follow through if they were. Mm-hmm. I've never actually turned over such a sizable chunk to become a park. So I know that I no longer own that land, right? That land doesn't belong to me anymore. I only own the land that's being developed. Right. So a rezoning and a subdivision process took place, and I own the development lands. And there was a slice given to public right of way on the Allcrest side, and there's the slice that became park on that northern end.
I was part of that rezoning.
Okay.
That's FYI.
Did you receive any feedback at all since taking ownership of this property on the look of the actual buildings that'll be constructed? Anything?
I haven't received any feedback. You know, we've tried on the bungalow side. I know that the drawings would have been presented with the original rezoning, you know, were concept drawings. But they are for sale, and those concept drawings were used to sell them. So I think either 17 or 18 of the 20 are already sold.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm building, you know, as close to as I can to those original concept drawings with the color palettes and the roof lines and so on. So I haven't changed anything on the bungalow side since those were done. We've, you know, matured the aesthetic of the apartment building, but that's sort of further down the line. But yeah, the bungalows, we've tried to stay as true as possible to that original application.
Okay. And just looking at the entrance and exit of the property, it appears to go out onto Princeton.
Yes.
Are there any plans to change that at all, to exit either onto Vialu, which I know is a no, but I'll just ask you for the record, and or
Allcrest?
Thank you.
So we don't, because of that parkland, we don't abut on Vialu. So our answer there is no, because we can't. The addressing department has basically assigned, like this was originally 3707 Roblin. Through our permitting process, the addressing department is assigning us Princeton addresses because they look at that as, well, this is where your approach is. We, you know, intend to access the site at near the Roblin off of the Allcrest side. We just access that site, you know, for demolition equipment and so on, but no, the answer is no. Their only approach is off of Princeton.
Those are my questions at this point in time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councillor Luce.
Okay, so I'm just curious why some developers put in Moloch garbage containers and other ones don't. And I'm kind of leaning to liking these Moloch containers because, I don't know, you don't see them, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what your take is on garbage.
So some developers do that because, like, let's be candid, they are tens of thousands of dollars more expensive and an ongoing greater expense. Every time you empty it, it costs you 3 times as much. So I would say if you see the developers that do it, it is often developers that have probably at least one of, if not 2 things happening. Thing number one is that you think of like an outlet mall, right? Where you have people seeing those garbage bins from all sides. And so to have a bin sitting out, like all those buildings of the outlet mall are viewed from all 4 sides. There was no sort of back where you could have hidden the bin. So that's driving factor number 1. Driving factor number 2, and I'll use the outlet mall as an example again, is that all the refuse collection cost gets distributed to the tenants, right? Because that becomes part of their CAM. So the developer doesn't feel the pain of the ongoing cost of emptying the garbage bin the way somebody that owns a rental apartment feels the pain. So that's yeah, and they're lovely. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's just, yeah, that's the real motivation. So, you know, and in our case, you know, the townhouses and the apartments are all condos, but on a residential condo, you don't have the CAM the way you do in a commercial building. You're selling a unit and then you're committing to somebody to say, hey, yeah, buy this unit for $500,000. And by the way, your condo fee is going to be this much money. And if I raise that condo fee by the extra $40 or whatever a month that it would take, you know, to have Molochs on my site, you know, it actually impacts the sale price and it sort of trickles down. so I tend to not use it, I guess is the short answer. I put them in once at a customer's request, but they are costly. In general, I try and set up a site so that the city's water and waste department can come and take the garbage away, because
Right.
my property taxes don't go down if I opted for a private collection. And so I'm paying to have that collection
Yeah.
anyway. So whenever I design a site, I try and design it so that the city garbage guys can come in, pick it up, go away, and do the thing.
So then, okay, so I get that, and I'm thinking of the which totally makes sense, in Northtown Plaza in Bridgewater, in the
Yeah.
middle
Yeah.
of all those little restaurants and stuff are these Molochs, and I thought they're just so beautiful, right?
They
But
are.
totally get
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so where is your garbage here? Where do they come in from?
So the condos would have bins, conventional residential bins, just
Right.
the townhouses would, and then the apartments have a refuse room inside that gets carted out for temporary pickup, just at the northwest corner, right by the parkade entrance. There's a little enclosure there for the bins.
Okay. Okay. Now, a couple more questions here. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-story building or 6, whatever it is, beautiful, very
Yep.
beautiful. Does the exterior skin and finishing coordinate with the townhouses? Because it doesn't kind of look like it in the drawing, but
No, it doesn't, on purpose.
oh, on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I could see that too. Okay.
Yeah.
And then these are apartments that you've got here, right?
They're also condos. They
Oh,
will
they're
be sale.
condos.
Yeah, we are planning to sell them. Yeah.
Okay, and so I guess, and this maybe is a question for the public service, but I'll ask you and then I'll ask them. So accessibility, right? For accessible units in condos, what's the deal? Like, I don't think we have a policy yet making basically developers make apartments accessible, older age, lower, wider doors, all of that. But what are you doing for these condos? I just think of the demographics of the neighborhood and all.
So all the condos are like, there's sort of a series of rules, right? So for example, the building has to be accessible in and of itself.
Right.
So the building has to be accessible from the moment you get out of your vehicle to the moment that you get through the suite entrance door. So navigating through all the common areas and the elevators and all that stuff, right? So all of that stuff is accessible just by default. Once you're in the suite has to have a 3-foot door at the entrance. It has to have a 3-foot door in the master bedroom, and it has to have one of the bathrooms has to have a 3-foot door. That is the basic rule structure. Like, it's not me being a philanthropist. Like, that's just, that's just the rule. So everybody has to build it that way.
Okay.
To go beyond that, now these are condos, right? So people in this particular circumstance have, carte blanche to just modify whatever they want. And if they want an accessible suite, then I'll make it accessible for them. On the rental side, when we build rentals, I've done buildings with accessible suites before. And the problem is, and so I did a building on the corner of Westminster and Maryland. There's one. And we decided to provide, I think it was 5% of the suites as accessible. And the challenge there was, okay, you're building this building, 5% of the suites are accessible. You get to the end and you start renting it out. Well, what if you don't have someone in that 3-month period that you're scrambling to fill your building because you have bills to pay? If you don't have someone that needs an accessible suite in that moment, you have to rent it to someone else. Like, I can't leave it empty.
Right.
And I don't know how to solve that problem, Counselor. I honestly, I'm happy to sort of have that discussion because I'm not blind to the fact that our city needs a certain percentage of accessible units. I just don't know how, as a new building developer, I say, hey, I'm going to have this many suites as accessible, and then leave it empty until I find someone that needs an accessible suite. Like that's a real hardship.
Yeah, and I guess if someone's in there, you can't hoof them out.
Yeah, if I need to
Change
rent
it
it
up.
and there's nobody that needed an accessible suite
Right.
or, and now I gotta rent it to someone else, I can't kick that person out when somebody that needs an accessible suite shows up. I don't know how to.
And just, sorry, one last question on this topic and then I have another question, but what makes an accessible suite? Okay, we get the door thing, that's just mandatory, period. But is it, what, when you say you made 5%, what did you do? What were they?
Sure. There tends to be 3 or 4 things that you include. So first of all, the kitchen is probably the most obvious place. So your kitchen sink will have an empty area under it so that I can roll in kitchen sink. Instead of a conventional oven, you'll have a wall oven. And
Right.
the wall oven will be a wall oven with a swing out door rather than a swing down door, right? So I'm in a wheelchair, I pull up to this oven, now I can open it like a mini fridge, and all the shelves are full, the racks inside the oven are full extension. So it's a special oven that's made for that purpose.
Got
So
it.
the kitchen sink and the oven will be different. And then in the bathroom, I need 2 things. I need a full turning circle in the bathroom, like a 5'6" turning circle in the bathroom. I need a roll-up area next to the toilet. So I need like a 3-foot clear area next to the toilet. And my shower needs to be a roll-in shower.
Got it.
So, and then the third thing we typically do, although it's not mandatory, although you appreciate it's practical, is that the closets in the bedrooms don't have doors. So, somebody, like you can imagine somebody in a wheelchair trying to open a bifold door, like it would drive you insane.
Right.
So those 3 things we include in accessible suites, and that probably costs, you have a basic cost of the suite has to be slightly larger to accommodate those turning circles. Then you have like an actual hard cost for the different cabinets and different appliances and the different shower. That's probably about $15,000. So yeah, the suite costs you, $15,000-ish more.
Yeah.
It's not a deal breaker. Like nobody's dying because the suite was $15,000 more. It's more just that, I made this suite, and who do I rent it to? And how do I connect the dots between these people? If there was like some kind of
List.
foundation, right, that was committed, that had a waiting list that could say, hey, every time you have an accessible suite, we're going to rent it because we have somebody to put in,
Right.
I would do it. It's
Interesting.
really not the cost of the accessible. It's about the logistics of, in May, I have 12 coming to rent, and by the end of June, I need a tenant. Right.
We're meeting next week, council's meeting next week with Connie Newman, who's I forget her big title, but she oversees a lot of the senior organizations in the city. And she was asking me about this, and I didn't have a good answer, right? So I really appreciate this. Okay, let me ask you one more question. Do you have like a common room in this apartment block or condo block?
Yeah. Yes. So on floors 2 and 3,
Right.
right off of the elevator lobby, there's a fitness room and common room. That's like about, I don't know, I can't remember offhand, about 800 square feet, 900 square feet. There's a common room there. And then I think we're going to be putting a rooftop amenity space there. We haven't actually finished designing it yet, but yeah, I mean, these are really high-end units, so we need to have a fairly high level of common area amenities. Yeah.
And what's the minimum square footage and the largest square footage for these units?
The smallest one I think is 728. That's a 1-bedroom, so that's about 200 square feet bigger than we would normally do in a rental. And then the biggest unit is 1,600 and something.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, the big.
beautiful.
What about for the bungalows? What's the square footage?
There's 2 units there. One is 12 something and one is 14 something.
Oh.
They are, they're nearly all sold. The uptake was tremendous. So it was really cool.
Yes, you see, this is what gets me about certain areas of the city. People are cranky, but yet then they sell out in no time, right? Because they're new, they're beautiful,
Everybody wants to live there.
Yeah, well, yeah, the people 100 feet from the property are cranky. The people 200 feet from the property want to live there.
Yes, I know. I know. Wow, this is great. No, this is another excellent project. So I have no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Duncan has another question.
Yeah, just to follow up on Councillor Luce's question around common space. So would that common space be available to not only the multifamily building, but the condos?
No.
No?
No, the townhouses are sort of
Okay.
a standalone thing.
And thinking of an adjacent property across the William Clement Parkway, there's a community that you're familiar with on the road that has a common gathering outdoor space. Is there any room on this property to provide anything like that?
No. No, that wasn't really contemplated in the original design.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a park right next door, a brand new one. But yeah, there is not, it's not like, I've done townhouse condos before. I can't think of a single one that I did before that had a common space.
Okay.
I didn't even know those condos that you're referring to had one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite
Like it's like a picnic type area.
Yeah, oh yeah, a large space, nice walkways up to it.
Oh,
Yeah, it makes for quite a community feel there.
okay.
Gathering area outdoors in the winter or in the summer rather, especially with the demographics that
Well,
typically are your uptake here. They definitely utilize the space in the summer when you can get outside.
well, when we're putting that playground in the park, maybe need some picnic tables and a barbecue.
I was thinking the same thing. One other thing, just in the appearance of the building, on your boards that are out front, and I think they've been consistent since the property was originally, it did show some accents of oranges, I believe.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that?
not happening.
Not
So
happening.
these drawings that you see before you, this is for the apartment building. Yeah, when I bought it, the previous developer had a very
Flare.
contemporary, I'm trying to use neutral words here, a contemporary vision for what that apartment should look like.
Yes.
And I abandoned it.
Okay. So you would it be fair to say that this building will fit more in the context of the neighborhood?
Yes, yes, exactly. That's why I've designed it in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me.
Well, any other questions, Councillor Lewis?
Let's march on. This is great. No more questions.
Very good.
It sounds very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks all.
I believe we have some questions for the public service. Councillor Lewis.
Okay, let me get my map up here.
Accessibility.
Map. I could have asked the presenter, but I just want you to run me through the pedestrian
Yes.
access and such, because it's a funky, there's that back or side lane or the lane to get to it. Does that have to be resurfaced? I don't really see a drawing here that's showing active transportation, so maybe you could articulate that.
Sure. Yeah, the Bain building has direct access from Roblin. The condo units at the back, the one-story sites, don't have that either from the drive aisle on Princeton. And one thing that we were going to mention as a potential amendment to this plan is providing a paved walkway or sidewalk to the Allcrest Drive sidewalk, so that the one-story units have a pedestrian connection to the public sidewalk. That's a good way to get to the new park space to the north, to the active transportation trails that run along Vialu and down the William Clement Parkway and so forth. So that was a suggested amendment that we have for these plans, just to provide that better pedestrian connection to the site.
Okay, so do you have a map or anything? Like, I'm not quite clear exactly.
Page 4,
Oh,
the
okay.
site. Yeah. Where would the pedestrian connection come out approximately on Allcrest?
It's I don't think we have a preference. It's whatever is suitable, but somewhere, whether it's on the south side of. That's what. Yeah, I mean,
Further to Vialu?
either way is fine. I mean, as long as
Yeah,
it's,
because there are no sidewalks there, as it stands.
On Vialu,
on Allcrest?
they'll be constructing a site.
They are constructing?
Yeah, as part of the rezoning.
Okay, so I want to jump in here then. Just give me a hot second. Sure. I just want to make this clear. So
okay.
the swale that's on the east side of Allcrest Drive, it's not like a full ditch. It's a swale. So will that require any land drainage? Will that require
Yeah, that was all, I wasn't on the file at the time, but that was all, at the original rezoning of this land. That was all addressed through ACG.
okay, so the public service is confident that this connection can actually be made?
Yeah,
What was the date of that rezoning? Because it'll probably be in there and I'll look it up.
April 27th, 2022.
Okay.
Section 1, plan considerations of the ACG. The developer shall legally widen Allcrest along the site. Let me just find the.
So I'm having my.
That was the date it went
May
to
26, 2022 that it went to council.
council. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the Assiniboia date. Yeah, and then number 6, sidewalks. The developer shall construct sidewalks and all related works 0.3 meters from the property line on the east side of Allcrest Drive between Roblin Boulevard and Vialu Drive. Including but not limited to regrading of the East Boulevard and/or ditch, all determined to the satisfaction of the Director of Public Works.
So this speaks specifically to the east side of Allcrest between Vialu.
Correct.
Okay, so we don't go to the Vialu portion of the property.
No, I don't believe there's any upgrades required on Vialu.
Yeah, because it wouldn't connect to anything, right? Like there's nothing there, right? So.
Yeah, there would be a sidewalk to Vialu, but of course there's no sidewalks on Vialu, so it kind of dumps you out onto.
Right, to connect up into the William Clement Parkway trail network.
Yeah.
Or east to the Assiniboia Park network.
Yeah, and we recognize it's not an ideal condition, but understand that people do use Vialu Drive as kind of a shared roadway.
Okay, so in 6B, it says the developer shall construct a concrete sidewalk to curb replacement on the west side of Princeton, so north, southeast, west side of Princeton between Roblin and the private area. So west side of Princeton. Just trying to figure this out here.
That requires a sidewalk from their driveway access on Princess down to Roblin.
Oh yeah, okay, that section. Okay. Well, how would there even be room? You're saying you were wanting a sidewalk now on that little driveway that goes in to. Is that what you're saying?
No, our suggestion would be a sidewalk connection to Allcrest, like on the west side of the property, and then it can, connect with that public sidewalk to be built on Allcrest, and then from there people can travel where they want.
I think if I'm correct here, all of the front doors of the single family or single units all front onto Allcrest.
That is correct. Yeah, but it would be more for the units that are at the back, like on the east
But
side.
the sidewalk will run from Roblin to Wheeler,
Yes, yeah, the public sidewalk.
the public sidewalk. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And then those units those one-story units that do face onto Allcrest, they do have their own front entrance, like, like anyone.
Yeah,
else.
a little walk aisle, yeah.
Yeah.
So we go into the winter and the snow is still being dumped into the existing ditch. And then east of that ditch is the sides of that sidewalk is the front entrances.
I don't know enough of what the requirements were to deal with that ditch, just other than the ACG said that the sidewalk will be.
Yeah, it'll be
Right
interesting
along
to
the
see how
property
they
line.
construct a ditch, because I'll be taking notes so that I can
Yeah.
construct more sidewalks with ditches. That'll be great. This will be a good learning experience for the folks who say it's impossible to build sidewalks next to ditches. I'm excited for this. You hear that, Councilor Lux? I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. Well, that doesn't look like it's a very deep ditch, so.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. That's a bonus for the community to have a sidewalk now that takes them to Vielu. Vielu is a heavily used pedestrian corridor for pedestrians and cyclist traffic, so great.
Yeah, very nice, very good. That was done in the rezoning, I'll remind you there, Councillor Duncan, with a
Yeah.
very,
I will
Sure.
pat you on the back next time I see you.
that's a long sidewalk. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't have any more questions of the public service.
so the amendment would be to have a connection, the wording you're looking for, Mr. Golson.
Yeah, that a paved pedestrian connection be installed or constructed, either way, from the interior parking area to Allcrest Drive.
The interior parking area to Allcrest Drive. Okay.
Or if we wanted to be more specific, it could be that a paved pedestrian connection be installed from the interior parking area to the public sidewalk.
Yeah, because otherwise you have to make it right to the road and you don't necessarily want to do that.
Yeah,
No, you don't want to go to the road because then you're doing the whole road.
You want them to turn and go down the sidewalk.
yeah,
Okay. that makes-
Well,
that's a good call.
because this is a plan approval, I think, don't we need to get approval from the developer also?
Yes,
Does he get an opportunity to come back?
yes, if you'd like to, or, I mean, he's,
Right here.
if you'd like. him to,
Live and
you
in
can,
person.
but-
He's coming back.
Yeah, and I apologize, I should have thought about this before asking the question, but.
Okay, go ahead.
So yes, I mean, we are constructing a sidewalk along Allcrest. It is on our side of the ditch. So there's actually a slice of land that's been taken from this original parcel for that very purpose.
Right.
Widening of the right of way on Allcrest, because I guess during the previous hearings, it was discovered that the Allcrest right of way was not normal width. Nobody could tell why. But yes, we need that sidewalk running along the Allcrest side to provide pedestrian access to the people that live on those 10 units that face west, that face Allcrest. So having a pedestrian connection from the interior to that sidewalk is a no-brainer. Probably would have just done that anyway. Happy to do that. There was the comment about extending that sidewalk. Like, it does not make sense necessarily to have that sidewalk running all the way from Roblin and then come to a stop 80 feet from Vielu. I think that the original description would say that it's all along the western side of my property, but I mean, to extend it to Vielu is fine. It just means that, the documentation needs to be clear, because now
On city property.
yeah.
Gotcha. Outside of your spectrum, yeah. No, that's good.
Any other questions?
Just confirming that the applicant is comfortable with the proposed amendment?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just as long as I don't need to build a little bridge over that ditch, that would suck.
But we have to get engineering stamps and approvals.
Yeah.
It'll be another 7 months.
I'll show you some nice little wood bridges that have been built over hitches. It's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that'll be,
They love them.
the residents will be out there building the wooden bridge after I'm gone.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Okay, no other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chair, can I report a
Absolutely.
motion if Council Luke doesn't have any other?
No more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
So I appreciate the feedback from the public service and working on that, especially now that we have some more information on the installation of a sidewalk. That'll be a great benefit, not only to this development, but also to the community. So I appreciate that. And with that, I'd like to move the recommendation of the public service as amended.
And just to confirm, the amendment is that a paved pedestrian connection be installed from the interior parking area to the public sidewalk on Allcrest Drive.
Okay,
Yes, that's it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
Move for adjournment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I know those plans.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Right.